Morning. Good morning.
Mayor Dean, I'd like to present to you our fourth graders at Glencliff Elementary.
All right.
Thank you. And we also always greet by saying, Good
morning.
Okay.
Well, good morning. You all have great hats. Everybody did a great job this morning with the hats. You a little warm in that hat? Yeah, I bet. Well, I'm going to read you a book by the President of the United States. It's called Barack Obama, of Thee I Sing, and these are letters letters to his daughters. There's a picture of the President looking at his daughters. Have I told you lately how wonderful you are, how the sound of your feet running from afar brings dancing rhythms to my day, how you laugh and sunshine spills into the room? Have I told you that you are brave? A man named Jackie Robinson played baseball and showed us all how to turn fear to respect and respect to love. He swung his bat with the grace and strength of a lion and gave brave dreams to other dreamers. That's Jackie Robinson. Now, what's he famous for?
For making it to the Hall of Fame.
He's in the Hall of Fame. That's good. But he was the first what?
African-American.
He was the first African-American to
Play baseball.
play in the major leagues. Now, I think his story is one of the most inspiring stories in the United States history. Now, he's famous for one particular... What position did he play? Does anybody know what position he played? Yeah?
Second baseman.
Second baseman. Very good. He was a great second baseman, and he had one particular play he did, not at second base. This is when he's a runner, that he was famous for, and he did it better than anyone has ever done. It's a really dramatic play that you don't see very often. Real exciting. Any guesses? Yeah?
Home run.
No, he hit home runs, but this is something.
A batter.
He's a great batter. Yeah? Well, it's close. He would slide, but what base would he slide into?
Home.
Home. He would steal home. Which is, I love baseball, and I've been to a lot of baseball games, and I've only seen at a minor league game once live somebody steal home. You don't see it very often, and he did it more than anybody else ever did. So it was real exciting. He was a real exciting player to watch. Have I told you that you are strong? A woman named Helen Keller fought her way through long, silent darkness. Though she could not see or hear, she taught us to look at and listen to each other. Never waiting for life to get easier, she gave others courage to face their challenges. All right, so that's Helen Keller with her teacher named Annie Sullivan. And do you know what state Helen Keller grew up in? It's a state near us.
Kentucky.
Nope.
Georgia.
It's got a really, really good football team right now. Alabama, yeah. And she grew up in Alabama, and she couldn't hear or see. And because she couldn't hear when she was born, she couldn't speak. Because she couldn't hear, you learn to speak because you hear your parents talking to you and your brothers and sisters talking to you, and she couldn't hear any of that. And so her family brought this teacher from Boston, Annie Sullivan, in to teach her to talk. And they made a famous play about it called The Miracle Worker, which is done at high schools, and you see it performed pretty regularly. It was in Franklin, our neighboring city, about a year ago, and it was made into a movie. But it's a real inspiring story. So she learned to speak, and then she became an activist to help people who were deaf and blind so that they could lead as normal life as possible. She's a very brave woman. Have I told you that you don't give up? When violence erupted in our nation, a man named Martin Luther King Jr. taught us unyielding compassion. He gave us a dream that all races and creeds would walk hand in hand. He marched and he prayed, and one at a time opened hearts and saw the birth of his dream in us. That's Martin Luther King. And we celebrated his birthday in January, remember? And when President Obama says in here, he gave us a dream, his most famous speech was what?
I have a dream.
I have a dream. And his dream was that everybody in our country would live together and get along and help make the country great. Have I told you that you are an explorer? A man named Neil Armstrong was the first to walk on the moon. He watched the world from way up high, and we watched his lunar landing leaps, which made us brave enough to take our own big, bold strides. And so Neil Armstrong was the first man to do what? Yep. Walk on the moon. Does anybody know what he said when he made the first step? Yeah.
One small step for me, one giant leap for man.
Right. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. And so what does that mean? What do you think he meant by that? Yep.
He meant it would be like a small step for him, but it would be huge for everyone that knew because they hadn't done space travel.
That's exactly right. That's very good. Have I told you that you are part of a family? A man named Abraham Lincoln knew that all America should work together. He kept one nation one and promised freedom to enslaved sisters and brothers. This man of the people, simple and plain, asked more of our country that we behave as kin. All right, so there's Abraham Lincoln. All right, and what's he famous for? Yeah? Yeah?
Honesty and being a president.
Being the president, he was the 16th president, and he's considered generally to be in the top 5 presidents we've ever had. Yep, way in the back there.
He's famous for helping people.
He helped people, but who did he help specifically?
The slaves.
The slaves. He signed something called the Emancipation Proclamation. And what did that do? Yeah?
It stopped enslavement.
Right, it freed the slaves. Have I told you that they are all part of you, and have I told you that you are one of them and that you are the future, and have I told you that I love you? And what's nice about that? Well, when everybody thinks about President Obama, you think of him dealing with foreign affairs and wars and dealing with the economy and the political battles. But you got to remember, he's a man who's got a wife and he's got 2 daughters that he loves. And that's what's probably the most important thing to him, just like your parents. It's the most important thing in the world. So it's a pretty good book, don't you think?
Yes.
So the big message for today is what? That's a good message. But the message I really want you all to remember from today, from me, is the most important thing you can do every single day is what? Read. That's true. The more you read, the better off you are. And you can read for pleasure. There are a lot of great books to read that are just fun, adventure books. There are novels. There are funny books. There are scary books. There are history books. I love reading biographies. I love history. But every time you read, you learn something. And if you read a lot when you're young, it just builds. And it's going to make you a better student, and it's going to set you up for more success in life, I think. So try to read every day. And the other thing I'd encourage you to do, and this is something I started doing when I was a little bit older than you, but you can't begin too early, is read a portion of the newspaper every day. It's important to kind of know what's going on in the world. Now, I can see a lot of, unfortunately, I see a couple of Yankee hats here, but if you're a sports fan, read the sports page. Read how the Predators are doing. Read about the Titans. Read about UT. Read about Vanderbilt. Read about TSU. But read about sports. If you're interested in politics, every day there's politics. If you're interested in In the environment, there's environmental stories. But the more you look at the newspaper, the more you know what's going on in the world. And again, that's just important for you to be really good citizens and for you to be educated so that you can succeed. So, read. That's the message. Now, we're going to give you this book, right?
Yes, I have a Sharpie for you.
All right, so I got a simple message for you. Keep reading. Thank you all.